Fox Entertainment Group, Fox Broadcasting Company. That is home of such shows as The Simpsons, Beverly Hills 90210, Where We'll Be Tomorrow, and Married with Children. Also with us is Robert Iger, President, ABC Entertainment, home of shows like Roseanne, The Wonder Years, and Home Improvement. Warren Littlefield is also with us, President, NBC Entertainment, home of I'll Fly Away, Seinfeld, Nightmare Cafe, which premieres this month, and many other programs. And Jeff Sagansky is with us as well, President, CBS Entertainment, home of Designing Women, Murphy Brown, and Northern Exposure. And I thank you all for being with us. Let me ask ABC, NBC, CBS for a moment. I mentioned it was 90% 15 years ago. It's about 60% right now. Can it go much lower and the networks still be viable?
Well, I think that, you know, in the course of 10 years where we've gone is we've gone from 6 cable channels in the average household to about 30. And, you know, with the new fiber optics and other technology they're talking about, I think there's going to be more channels. The question is, how much can the home viewer, how many channels does the home viewer want? And I think right now at 30, they're sort of maxed out.
30 channels, you mean?
Yeah.
But, Bob Iger, if the network share of the audience diminishes anymore, will the networks still be viable?
Yes, I think they will. First of all, I don't think the network share will diminish substantially. I think it pretty much has leveled out. I also think it's amazing, given the proliferation of program choice the viewer has, that the networks are achieving the levels that they're achieving today, and it is quite an achievement. Viewers have so many different choices. When the 3 networks plus Fox now can garner 60+ share points, sometimes 70, and some nights even 80%, that's quite a feat in this environment. I think we will survive.
You would agree, Warren, that the numbers bottomed out?
Yeah, I think there probably will be. Certainly the technology in the next 10 years will allow the average home viewer to get 100 different channels. We know that'll be there. We know that the entertainment center will have a better picture than ever before, probably bigger than ever before. There'll be all kinds of exciting technological changes that will make it very good for the viewer. But I still think what you're going to find is primarily there are 4 things that the viewer is going to come to in that television set. And what they want to see is news, sports, series, and movies. We'll still be there in that business. Now, what you'll find is all kinds of home services. You'll find, you know, interactive banking and buying, all kinds of services that'll help them. But I think what we supply to the viewer will also still be something that they covet.
Jeff Sagansky said something interesting, that the viewer with 30 channels may be on overload. 100 may not mean much to them because they've already got enough choice in 30. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that, yeah. I mean, how many choices does a viewer really need?
We're reaching a point of diminishing returns and you get up to 100. If the network business, as some say, some right, is so bad, why are you so anxious to get into it?
I think that I think there's a very positive business out there, and I think that the best indication of the health of broadcasting is this little company. You know, this little company, which is less than 5 years old, on mostly UHF stations, is now either the most profitable network or the second most profitable.
Could we go to a 5th network?
I think absolutely. I think we will see a 5th network. I think we may see a 6th network. And I also don't agree that 30 channels maxes things out. I think we're going to see 100 channels. I think there's a young generation which is going to know how to use them. And I think we're going to see a lot more choices. And I think all it means is greater challenges to us as programmers.
Jeff Sagansky, what are the choices that worry you? Is it programming on demand, as people are going to be able to dial up a specific movie when they want to see it? Is it the addition of more cable stations? What is it that worries you when you're dreaming at night?
Well, yeah, I think that the biggest thing that worries me is that right now, so much of the network business is, you know, we schedule our shows, and by habit, people know to turn on to CBS on Monday night for the Monday night lineup. What worries me is that there'll be technology will come along, and they'll be able to turn on those shows any time of the day, and in which case then the thing that has sustained network television for 40 years, and that is knowing that on Monday night at a certain time period the show's going to be on, that's going to be broken, and I think that could potentially undermine a lot of what's, you know, effective about our business.
Warren Littlefield said there are 4 things that the people depend on the networks for, and the networks will continue to have them. Will the network continue to have sports? CBS has paid enormous amounts for sports rights. A lot of people say CBS will pare back, the other networks won't get into the bidding. Maybe they will go to pay-per-view, maybe they will go on pay television of some sort.
Well, I think we will continue to have sports. I don't think we're going to, the sports franchises are going to be paid the license fees that they're being paid now, but I think they definitely will. Look, we made a bad deal on baseball, but on the other hand, the Olympics is paying off handsomely, and the ratings this week are at record levels.
All right, let me turn to where television is in the next 10 years. What kinds of programming the networks have? You say you can depend on the networks for certain things, but I'm curious as to what kinds of programs the networks will turn to. For instance, we see a proliferation of news magazines. Are we going to see a news show stripped Monday through Friday, for instance, for an hour on a network schedule? Are we going to see more news magazines?
My guess is no. What I think you'll find is that news, as well as the reality formats, there may just be too many out there. And it's not just something when you look at the networks. You're really looking in the average television home now at a 30-channel environment. And when you look out across that environment, I think what networks have to keep saying is, how are we distinctive? What are we doing with a character, with a situation, with the way we tell our stories, with the way we present our entertainment that is different from the other choices? So I think that's the key to success.
Warren
right
says
now.
we won't be adding more, but ABC is adding more, right?
We are adding more, and actually I would disagree with Warren. I think it is likely that we'll see a strip news program in prime time sometime in the very near future, and I say very near future, maybe the next 2 or 3 years. I think what we're going to see as viewing patterns change is less traditional series programming.
Hour dramas?
Hour dramas and half-hour comedies. I think given the cost structure of those programs and given the fact that the economy of our business is not what it used to be, we're not going to be able to afford as much of that traditional product. It'll still be, I think, the foundation of a network schedule, but there won't be as much of it.
Peter, how many more situation comedies can television absorb? We're in somebody's living room with people out in the audience laughing every other minute, it seems.
Well, I think from my point of view, there's no question there are too many situation comedies. You know, I think the idea of seeing people in the living room trade one-liners for 20 minutes and then hug at the end is getting a little tiresome. I think we're going to see more dramas coming on, and I think we're going to see more shows that attempt to break that a little bit. Seinfeld or Simpsons, or shows that seem a little bit different in some ways.
You with Fox are allowed the luxury of being different because you can take more chances, you're small, whatever. Are you going to get more like the other networks? Are you going to get traditional, hidebound, the way these three other fellows are sitting at the
Certainly,
table?
hopefully not. You know, I think that's the big challenge facing this company is how do we manage our growth and how do we manage our success and how do we not become, you know, exactly what we've been fighting for these years.
Stephen Bochco was on our program not long ago and said, look, the cutting edge of television is now in cable. It's on other sources. They can be more daring. They can do different things. The networks need to be a little bit more experimental. They need to be a little bit more on the cutting edge. We ought to go, frankly, he said, to some R-rated television. Are we going to?
I certainly hope not, because I don't think people sitting at home want to see, you know, nudity and excessive violence and that kind of language in their living rooms. And I know certainly for our you know, audience, they keep telling us that, and I think that would be a huge mistake for the networks to do.
It seems to be almost a wife-mistress phenomenon, actually. The audience looks to the network for guidelines. The advertisers
Well,
look
you
to the
guys are
network
walking
for the
right
same
up to the
thing.
edge of those guidelines many a night
Well,
with some of the
I think
miniseries
that's
and
the
shows you
trick.
put on.
I think that's absolutely the trick.
Well, you're gonna walk it?
We want to be provocative. We want to make it as interesting as possible for the audience. At the same time, they've got to have a comfort zone where they want to come back, and we're constantly balancing that.
How provocative are we going to be?
Well, actually, I'm glad you raised the Stephen Bochco issue because he did pitch to us an R-rated primetime drama, and we decided just this past week not to go forward on that basis. We'd go forward with the drama itself, but we wouldn't give him the R-rated distinction. I don't think that's really the answer for network television. I think we do have to be innovative. I think by and large the networks have been the innovative program entities in this business. But I don't think adding violence, nudity, or profane language is innovative. I think we just become what cable is in certain cases with some of its B movies, for instance.
At that point, I will leave the discussion. I thank you all for being with us. Appreciate it. Interesting to talk to all four of you. 23 after, Good Morning America will continue. Stay with us.
And good morning, everyone. I'm Joan London.
And I'm Charles Gibson. Good to have you with us on deck, the USS Enterprise, Star Trek The Next Generation, our home for today, and it is Thursday, February 13th. And can you make some magic happen right behind me?
Here, let me...
Oh, there we go.
All I had to do is push the button, right? Our thanks, too, to Leonard Nimoy, who, of course, was one of the founding fathers of the original Star Trek. And I think he's also directed some of the episodes of this show, which, of course, is Star Trek The Next Generation. There's some really neat stuff around here. This is the captain's ready room. I think that's the proper way to say it. And this is the captain's old ship. It's modeled the old ship. It's called the Stargazer, but the Stargazer got blown up in a battle with Maxia, you know?
Yeah. On us here.
All right.
We've just, oh, we can see
What, but-
see you. We just took a power hit.
I'm now
but
a robot.
We are still
An
on
android.
the air in the captain's quarters here. In this half hour, we're going to look at cosmetic surgery in Hollywood. We're going to look at the makeup jobs they do on Star Trek. We're going to get our lights back, hopefully. But right now, we're going to go to Mike Schneider with the
Those
news. These
meteorites,
rains
they'll
have
do it
had
to
an
you every
effect out
time.
here, Mike.
Oh, those dirty Klingons. Good luck to you. Hopefully we'll get back with them in a couple of moments. In the meantime, we're going to tell you about the news, and the news does center, appropriately enough, on the weather system.
Understand it how this works.
Okay.
4 floors above us, there's a device that shoots a stream of hydrogen into this tube.
Right.
8 floors below us is the antimatter injector.
Okay.
Matter and antimatter meet here in the dilithium chamber. That gives us all the power we need to drive the warp engines.
Sort of like the way the weather maps work. Matter and antimatter work and clash, and the result is confusion.
There you go.
Thank you very much, LeVar.
You're welcome.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
All right. We'll take a look at Hollywood at face value, cosmetic surgery, in just a moment when Good Morning America continues.
After working as an actress for 10 years, Sonia got discouraged and left the acting business. Still, she got her nose changed after she met Dr. Seifert. He suggests some better ways of finding a good plastic surgeon.
One yardstick of competency certainly would be to ensure that your doctor has adequate training in a...
The makeup room of Star Trek. If you have ever watched this program, you know how dependent Star Trek's The Next Generation is on the magic of a man named Michael Westmore. He is in charge of makeup on Star Trek, and he has been working his magic for many years on the famous faces of Hollywood.
People think that there's a lot of time to do this. Sometimes I only have weeks to put together a whole Klingon group, maybe 25 of them, and have them all ready. But our longest character we've ever had is LeVar Burton. When we had to turn him into a lizard, I had 4 artists working on him for 6 hours. You figure like in comic book strips, they create different expressions on the face, you know, the furrowed brow or a snarl or something. So if you're doing a bad alien, little things like that can be done in the structure. You can either make lines go up or you can make lines go down depending on the expression, artificial expression that you want to create in your rubber. This is a process that really doesn't get tedious. And I'll tell you a good example of it. When I was doing Raging Bull, I think it's the longest amount of time I've ever had to repeat a makeup. And you're talking about putting eyelids and a nose on De Niro. Did it 114 times. And there wasn't one time that I went to work, but I said, gee, I wish I could stay in bed. I hate doing makeup, and I don't want to do it. Now we have all of basically our base color on. And then to bring life into this, we've got to come in and put in shadows and coloring. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to strip in some shadow. Once you get the basic makeup put together, it's all the little details that you come back in with that actually give it life. I take a little KY jelly and put it on over the top, and that seals everything in and helps give a little shine, takes off the matte of the powder. Okay, all finished, ready to go to work?
Okay.
Go be a humanoid.
Hi, Mom.
I'm not sure Mom recognizes. It's 11 minutes before the hour now, and we'll be talking again to the cast of Star Trek The Next Generation when Good Morning America continues.
Remember, every time you...
Movies?
Absolutely. You've already done your movies.
We love that room.
and do you do it out of order? Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We
No
try to.
sequence.
Just like a movie. So how do you keep it in your head what's really happening in this episode so that you can react properly?
You read the script. That's right. That helps if you know what's going on in the script.
From front to back, you read it.
But one camera, is that?
One camera.
Sometimes
we do two.
They have two cameras going at the same time to get different coverage. But they're long hours, and it's like we do seven days usually per episode.
I think the biggest difference probably is that people who do half-hour shows have lives.
And you do not. But listen, you must enjoy working, because one of the interesting things about this ensemble cast here is that you're doing things all together outside of this program. I know some of you were working on a play together.
Right.
You did an album, right?
Yeah.
And you got some of them to sing, what, backup?
We had one number where...
The boys sang back.
Yeah, the four guys.
Okay, ready?
No. They did the background vocals, and they were sensational. We did an Ink Spots number, and we called ourselves the Sunspots.
So you obviously all like working together. It's because the dynamics.
It
Yes,
really is.
yes, yes.
I mean, I know it's cliched, but we all actually like each other. I mean, except for Jonathan.
Yeah. Well, I remember talking to you, LeVar, when you were first coming on the show. And, you know, you have to come into this cast that's there. And you got to work into the dynamics of it all. It's been fun.
It's been one of the best working experiences of my career. I really love these people, and it makes these people make it worth it to come here every day and do this.
Well, you know, Gene Roddenberry, who passed away, of course, is the creator of this, and I know Charlie said he'd let